Look, it's kind of crazy, but I think it's just hard work and grit. And I think a lot of people like to think that there's a lot more shortcuts in life, especially in business. But I think now, as we start to see the recession kicking in and everything going a little bit crazy, there's no shortcuts. You've got to put in the hard work and do the reps.
Do the reps, put in the hard work, Fire Nation. And we're going to be talking about how you can maybe leverage some outside work as well as we talk about inside outsourcing and the future of work today. So, Derek, you believe that the future of work is digital, that it's remote, that it's global. Can you expound upon this?
Yeah, well, we're seeing this huge trend now, aren't we? I mean, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we were talking about the paperless office and people thought that was freaky. And now more and more, we're seeing that everything is being done online. We've gone from an industrial revolution to the fourth revolution. And as you can see, it's more intellectual property. It's more about thoughts instead of manufacturing. It's more about services instead of products. And we're seeing this trajectory. And if you just extend that along, then the future of work is digital. And as you've seen recently, everything is moving to remote. And an extension of that is also global. And, my big thing is that we are moving towards a single global economy. And that has happened for products for many decades now. And that is happening more and more with services, professional services and employment. And that wasn't possible until the world was digital. And now that everything is, vastly digital, we are moving towards one single global workforce.
Fire Nation, it's the world that we live in. And we're going to be talking really about what this involves for you as listeners right here today, because it's just the overall concept, Derek, of work that's dramatically changing. I mean, especially since COVID, things have just really been put into overdrive. That fast forward button has been hit. There's probably not a person in the world who hasn't at least heard of Zoom at this point. So can you share some specifics and examples around this change?
Look, it's been dramatic. Like 2 years ago, people were suddenly forced to go remote, and there's a lot of businesses that were unhappy about that. And there's people that preferred the in-person reality. But, 2 years ago, everyone was forced to go remote. And from that point, the concept of work dramatically changed. And, obviously, some people are very happy to go back to normal now, but the reality is that things have changed for good. And what it has taught us, these things have taught us that the technology is available for remote and digital work interfaces. Now, people's habits haven't been so quick to change. And sure, some people and some businesses prefer to work face-to-face still, or in a more of a traditional sense. But the opportunity to work now digitally and remote and globally is there. And so it is now a very real option. And, what we're being faced with is sort of labor shortages and soaring salaries, high inflation, and there are abundant, high qualified, capable people around the globe that can work for you and your business. And this, until now, is not really acknowledged and not really taken advantage of.
Fire Nation, I think that's the biggest key is at the end there, that is not being taken advantage of, because this is an opportunity if you're looking at it through the correct lens. And that's what I want to move to next, which is the great resignation, is the labor shortages and the soaring employment costs. Talk about these things, Derek. What is the impact that these things are having on this world, and how can we, the listeners, Fire Nation entrepreneurs, small business owners, how can we take advantage or at least maneuver through these situations?
Look, we've had a really tough 2 years with COVID, and it seems as soon as we come out of the situation with COVID, we're faced with the great resignation. We've got intense labor shortages, skill shortages. There's soaring employment costs. Developers now are trying to charge $300,000 per year. Graduate salaries are going higher than ever, and yet the businessman, the business person, is left carrying the check, and they've got to make everything work. But actually, when you are stuck within a boiler room or a bubble, then there is no release valve. Yet there is a huge release valve. There are 8 billion people on the planet, and they are now all increasingly connected digitally. And there are about 4 billion people that are highly qualified, highly capable, sitting around the world. And this is not just virtual assistants. This is not just basic roles, but you can find PhDs, you can find architects, you can find accountants, you can find rocket scientists, whatever you need for your business, they are available globally. And if you tap into the global workforce, then you have an opportunity to not just access abundant talent, but you can access it at a 70% discount to the West, which is just phenomenal.
Wow. Can you give us an example of what you're seeing in this world of maybe a person or a company doing this correctly? Like you're like, wow, that company's got it figured out. And maybe it's you or maybe it's somebody that you know, but like what is an example so Fire Nation can really understand what this would look like?
Sure. I mean, people are familiar with the Tim Ferriss kind of model of virtual assistants. The reality is that the outsourcing industry is a sleeping giant. It has been going for about 30, 35 years. It is a $250 billion industry globally. It employs about 10 million people globally. And at one end of the market, offshore staffing powers the likes of Coca-Cola and American Express and Facebook and Google and Uber. Down the other end of the market, you actually have the small and medium-sized businesses, and there is a huge burgeoning market of outsourcing firms that cater specifically to the needs of the small and medium-sized industry. And what you tap into is not just a staffing solution, but as a small and medium-sized business, you can find a staffing partner that can help you build processes into your business, help you build sophistication into your business, and help you access the global talent pool. We actually had a client in the US who had a huge business in a very small town. It was a tourist town, and he always lamented that he was hiring from a talent puddle, not a talent pool, and he could not find the staff that he needed for his business, and it was constricting the opportunities of his business. And he had to find any people he could and train them into the roles. Okay, that's probably familiar with a lot of listeners. And this really held back his opportunities and his business. And we instead introduced him to the huge talent pool of Manila in the Philippines. There are 20 million professionals living in Manila. And he is now able to, he very quickly expanded. He hired 3 people. He understood it, and then he expanded that team to 18 people. And his business now is absolutely flourishing because he could get the skills he needed at a great price. And he was able then to build on his business.
Fire Nation, if you're finding yourself looking at a talent puddle instead of a talent pool, this is something that you need to be thinking about seriously because the opportunities are there. And we're going to be talking a lot more about this specifically when we get back from thanking our sponsors. Customization and scalability might seem like things you don't need to worry about in the beginning, but I'm here to tell you that if you can integrate these things into your business software from the beginning, you'll save yourself loads of time in the long run. And with a HubSpot CRM, you get access to both from the very start. Let's take your website as an example. Customization helps you stand out from the crowd, and with HubSpot's Web Builder, you can create a unique website for your business in just a few easy steps. Select a theme yourself from the HubSpot Marketplace, or let developers build your unique theme from scratch. With its easy-to-use editor, you'll be able to seamlessly make updates and take full ownership of your site. And scalability helps you adapt to growth and changes quickly. As an example, maybe you're experiencing a big growth spurt with your team. With HubSpot's scalable security, you can ensure your team of 200 can work just as efficiently as a team of 20. Learn how your business can grow better at HubSpot.com. As an entrepreneur just starting out or looking to scale up, it can be tricky to know which advice to follow. And if you've been thinking about making an online course part of your business, the Thinkific Trends Report is one of the most important things you'll read this year. The team at Thinkific analyzed the top 20% of creators to discover what they're doing differently to make them so darn successful. In this report, you'll uncover why top creators are 2 times more likely to use communities, 3 times more likely to sell courses in bundles, plus learn why it's time to say goodbye to the hard sell. I can say after reading it that this report is chock full of insights you can immediately put into action today, because if you're still creating courses the same way you were 5 years ago, you might be missing out on some big opportunities. Discover which trends are powering the most successful creators in 2022, what their secrets are to growing their business, how they focus their time, and much more. Visit thinkific.com/firetrends. That's thinkific.com/firetrends. So Derek, we're back, and outsourcing and offshore staffing. I mean, this has been happening for 30 plus years now. What does the future hold?
Now, there's a lot of buzzwords around outsourcing. You know, there's virtual assistants and outsourcing and offshoring and all these kind of things. And all of those can seem a little bit kind of scary and impenetrable. What you need to understand about outsourcing is that it's a fancy word for traditional employment. It is, just think about it like standard employment, except someone is sitting in a different location to you. That's all you need to think about outsourcing. And if you have that concept in mind, then you are 99% of the way there for what outsourcing is. And fundamentally, if you just treat your offshore staff like a normal employee, you would onboard them, you would train them, you would manage their day-to-day activities and the operations just like any standard employee, then you have got the concept of outsourcing. And also then you've got the management concept of how to build out an operations team. It works exactly the same. Now, what is really changing? You know, as I've mentioned before, outsourcing has been happening in earnest for about 30 years, and it is only the big companies that previously could access this industry. And that's because, 20, 30 years ago, technology was very expensive. You had to set up servers, you had to set up all of the infrastructure. But now, like everything, technology is in the cloud, it's cheap and accessible. And that has had a huge impact on the offshore industry. And what it means is now this most powerful business tool is accessible to small and medium-sized businesses across the globe. So the big businesses have had access to outsourcing for the last 30 years, and small businesses have been locked out. Now that small businesses have access, they can save up to 70% on their staffing costs, and they can access abundant pools of highly capable, highly talented staff. It is an absolute game changer. At the moment, it is a little bit sort of fringe, but soon it will become ubiquitous and default, that people look to hire the best, most capable staff wherever they are sitting, instead of finding the only people that are available in their local market. So it's really going to change over the next sort of 10 years. We are going to have a complete inversion of the norms of employment and sourcing your staff.
When you said the word 70%, I think a lot of people's eyebrows raised because they're like, wow, that is a massive discount. So let's get specific. How can businesses and entrepreneurs, and maybe even our listeners here today, how specifically can they find highly skilled professionals at that big of a discount? What would they do?
Yeah, John, I want to, raise this. A lot of people have concerns about the ethicalities of outsourcing. They say it's not fair. How can you pay people that? The reality is, like talking to a US audience, the reality is the vast majority of the world has lower salaries than the US, and you're aware of this in Puerto Rico. Also, the cost of living is significantly lower than in the US. So I'm based in the Philippines. I've been living in the Philippines for the last 9 years, which is the mecca of the global outsourcing industry. And a salary of 500 US to $1,000 per month. That's their base salary, is a very good salary for most administrative, for most digital, for most marketing jobs, for entry-level accounting jobs. So you have a huge swathe of professional talent that is available for a salary of $500 per month to $1,000 per month. And that, anyone can tell is a fantastic opportunity for both sides. Significantly, the skilled professionals that are working for that money, that is a great opportunity for them. They are amongst other professionals. They are eager to build their career. They are working in nice environments that are conducive to work and building their profession. And for the employer sitting in the West or the US, obviously that is an incredible discount to their local market. So it's really a win-win. And, it's not just VAs, it's not just basic roles. You can hire MBAs, you can hire PhDs, and you can hire top-level executives, you can hire CTOs. And the majority of those roles will be discounted by about 50% to 70% discount to what you would be paying locally. And that is just an incredible opportunity for both you as a business owner, entrepreneur, or hiring manager, and also the staff located globally, such as the Philippines.
And believe me, Derek, I've been beating this drum with my audience for over 10 years now. I mean, back in 2012, I hired a Filipino and I was talking with her and she was saying, yes, I'm a nurse, but I need to get out of it because I'm getting paid $400 per month and I'm working, like 4 12-hour shifts a day. I've got to take a 2.5-hour one-way bus trip to get to the hospital to work. And then there's like every few months, like her bus was getting robbed and like she was having to like give up like her iPhone and some money. And then it's just like a bad scenario. She's like, I just want a safe and secure like living in existence. And so I said, well, what if I match what you're making as a nurse now and say, hey, you can just work 9 to 5 from home. And she like basically started crying because she was like, that would be just such a dream come true. And since then, she's been living for 10 years. I've been giving her a very solid raise every single year, and she deserves it. So now she's making way, 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 way above that as she's been with me for so long. And now I have 2 Filipinos working for me full time, 1 guy from Pakistan. And it's just like you said, I mean, it's the cost of living there, paying them $500, $1,000, $1,500 per month is absolutely game-changing money for a lot of people with that kind of environment and opportunity. So that's something that's really important to be looking at from that perspective when you're going into this. And Derek, to kind of close this down now, you believe that outsourcing is the single most powerful tool in business. Can you share why?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's a truism that businesses are nothing without their people. And especially as we move into the 4th industrial revolution or the 4th revolution of business, where it is more about professional services, it's more about intellectual property, it's more about IT, software, things like that. The people count. We are not making products so much anymore. We're not reliant on machines anymore. We are reliant on our professional staff, on our staff to drive our company forward and to build our company. And what people have historically done, is limit their search for capable candidates to their local geographic region. Okay. And so if you're in a small town in the US, maybe you have a catchment of 100,000 people. Maybe it's 1 million people. That's fantastic. But on your doorstep now is 8 billion people. Okay. The whole world should potentially be your candidate. Now, of course, when you refine that down, not everyone is suitable for that specific role. But there is no reason in today's world why you should be limiting your candidate search for those people that are physically on your doorstep. This is especially the case if you're going to be communicating with them through email, through a laptop, through Skype, whatever. There is an a huge employee pool out there of 8 billion people. There are highly capable people, some of the best engineers in the world, some of the best developers in the world, marketers, content writers. Everything is out there, and they are on the internet, and they are globally connected. Now, people are the most critical aspect of any business. And now, if you can access an abundant pool of talent, and you can do that at a significant discount to your competitors, then it is the single most powerful tool in business. And just imagine, John, if you can, look, it's not just about saving money. It's about accessing capable, highly qualified staff. But imagine, instead of looking at it from a saving money perspective, you can triple your workforce of highly capable staff, highly qualified staff. You can triple that workforce compared to your competitors, and it will not cost you any more. Okay, and what can you do as a businessman, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, if you have 3x the workforce compared to your competitor? That means that you can outsell. That means that you can out-innovate. That means that you can out-service your existing customers. That means that you can double down on research and development. You can double down on marketing. You can double down on growth and expansion. And that is when offshore staffing becomes extremely powerful and extremely exciting. If you just focus on, cost savings, then there is a very limited upside to that. But if you see the world as a huge opportunity, and you have an opportunity to triple your workforce at no extra expense, then there is a vast sort of opportunity awaiting you and your business for growth and expansion and innovation. And that is how you can out-compete and out-strategize your market and your competition. And all of that comes from the offshore staffing or global employment paradigm.
Derek, well said. And thank you for breaking this down and sharing so many value bombs on this topic. What is your final call to action here? How can Fire Nation connect more with you? How can we follow you? How can we learn more about what you have going on? And then we'll say goodbye.
I encourage anyone and everyone to, maybe it's not right for you, but just explore this option for your business. It is not acceptable now for you just to say, look, this isn't right for me, because the world and how employment happens is quickly changing, and there is a risk that you can get left behind. So we have a website, Outsource Accelerator. It's the TripAdvisor of the outsourcing industry. We have about 15,000 articles on there, a lot of education about what outsourcing is and how you can harness it. We also list about 3,500 professional outsourcing firms globally in the BPO or outsourcing directory. And you can also submit you can get a consultation call. You can submit 3 free quotes. Just get in there and have a look around and see if offshore staffing is right for you and can be integrated into your business. And we can certainly help with that. That is completely free. And also, I have just published, it's a combination of about 10 years work. I've just published Inside Outsourcing, which is a book explaining and exploring exactly what offshore staffing is and globalized employment and the future of work. So you can also check that out as well.
Fire Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you've been hanging out with DG and JLD today, so keep up that heat. And head over to eofire.com. Type Derek in the search bar. His show notes page will pop up with everything that we've talked about today. Best show notes in the biz. And I just want to say, Derek, thank you for sharing your truth, your knowledge, your value with Fire Nation today. For that, we salute you, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, John.
Hey, Fire Nation. Today's Value Bomb content was brought to you by Derek. And Fire Nation, over the last decade, I've interviewed more than 3,000 of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, and I've created a revolutionary 17-step roadmap to your financial freedom and fulfillment. I put it all into my first traditionally published book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success, personally endorsed by Seth Godin and Gary Vaynerchuk. The Common Path to Uncommon Success is the step-by-step guidance that you need to achieve the lifestyle of your dreams. Visit uncommonsuccessbook.com to order your copy today. And I'll catch you there, or I'll catch you on the flip side. Still think you can create an online course the same way you did 5 years ago? Think again. Thinkific has looked at the top 20% of course creators to see what they're doing now to be so darn successful. Find out for yourself at thinkific.com/firetrends. Work in sales or interested in learning how to sell? Then check out the Salesman Podcast with Will Barron. You'll learn how to find buyers and win big business in effective and ethical ways with episode topics like the 4-step process to influencing buying decisions. Listen to The Salesman wherever you get your podcasts.